What's up, Pandis?
You're listening to the Pandesoul podcast.
Join us as we unpack the flavors of being Filipino
and American. We're your hosts, Dre Magix, the fictitious professor, and EJ Villaman.
And we hope you're hungry.
Because there's plenty to go around. I'm as Dre Magix with my co-host, the fictitious professor, and EJ Villaman. What? Sexual guinea? You're still thinking that? That was last week.
I had a whole week to marinate it with it.
You marinate your guinea?
Yeah, it's even sexier now.
Guys, he's just laughing because earlier, sexual guinea-ling. That's it.
That's it. That's,
out of
that's,
context.
That's the punchline.
Go back to our last episode and you'll
logic.
figure it out.
The password is sexual guinea.
Asexual with an E. Asexual.
Asexual.
Guinea-ling.
Shout out to 2 weeks ago. Asexual guinea.
It's all full circle. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Pandesoul podcast here with our host, fictitious professor EJ Villaman, and myself, Dre Magix. Follow us at the Dre Magix, EJ Villaman, and Fict Prof. All right. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about this question that we get a lot here in the communities of the FilAm LA communities, which is, am I Filipino enough? And I think we get this a lot from people who are, I don't know, there's some reason they don't feel like they're Filipino enough, whether it be the language barrier or being, only one parent from the Philippines, only a part of their cultural identity is Filipino, not being granted access to that culture or not even having proximity to those cultural things, right? Let's start it off. Do you feel like how Filipino are you from a scale of konti lang to hella Filipino?
Medyo.
Medyo. Because I know from myself, I've never asked that question. Am I Filipino enough? Because my whole thing is, if the entire world is gonna put me in this box, I better be proud to be the thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And listen, I'm not fluent in Tagalog. I understand it. I can't speak it as well as I speak English, right? I haven't been to the Philippines as often as other people have.
Right.
I was born there. I grew up here, but honestly, man, fuck them. What makes you have any control of my identity, right? And that's going back to 2 weeks ago with the LGBTQ episode.
Right.
We have no say in what you identify as. That's
right.
It's your thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think culturally it's the same. Who says you're not Filipino enough, or who says you're not American enough, or whatever it is.
Right.
Right? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, it's because I'm not Filipino presenting enough. It's not very obvious that I'm
you don't look
Filipino.
Brown.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But it's I've only had a couple people look and
you're a cafe latte. You're
mahalo.
Full mocha.
Yeah.
Full mocha.
So it's when I'm in Filipino spaces, it's figuring out
It might also be the beard.
Right, that too. Yeah. And it's figuring out ways to inform the other Filipinos that I am Filipino without being straight up oh, are you Filipino? So trying to be subtle about it.
Is that why do you? I have a question, and don't take it offense to my friends. Why do you do that? Do you feel like you need to do that?
In certain spaces, if I go to Jollibee or Seafood City, it's why is this white guy with a beard here? So to let them know that
also,
I
you don't gotta explain yourself.
Right,
bro,
exactly. No, I totally get that too. But it's I do it as a way to have the other folks feel more comfortable. Where it's
I see.
Why is this like someone who's seen as like other in our space.
That's how you know you're Filipino enough, because you're so welcoming already.
Right.
You always care about your guests.
Right.
Like even the host.
Right. So then it's just like saying things, or even just like, oh, excuse me, Paul, like walking by like an old elderly Filipino person, and then have them be like, oh, you're Filipino. Because actually, it's funny. There's one of my neighbors in where I'm at is like very Filipino. Like they have a calamansi tree in their front yard. They have the like tiles with the Virgin Mary and Jesus, and then they have like a thing. They have the walis. They have they have the tinelas that are like old and like bent, like
Yeah. The middle part is.
Yeah. So they've asked both my roommates, who are they're both like Chinese American. They walked up to both my roommates and like, "Oh, are you Filipino?" And like, "No." This is funny, like, cause one of my roommates was like, "Dude, if you wait here long enough, she'll ask you if you're Filipino."
Did they?
No, they're probably like, "Oh, she has a beard. She's not Filipino."
She's not Shim.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, it's a quick way of building rapport, because it's like that shared experience as being Filipino FilAm, in order to like, build rapport and almost like trust in a sense, where it's like, oh, okay, I'm somebody you can like, who will help you, or like,
excuse me, I won't kill you.
Yeah, right.
I'm like you, okay?
Yeah, I'm not Osama.
Yeah. Is that Paul Kears?
Paul Kears.
Why do you look like us?
Shout out to Tito Lito.
Yeah, Tito Lito. What about you, EJ?
Man.
I forgot the question. What did I ask you? This is great pod, guys.
Right. Something.
Oh, did you ever have to ask yourself if you were Filipino
Filipino
enough?
enough, yeah.
I don't think it was until I got to college where I joined a really big Filipino organization in one university that was just like huge, right? And there's plenty of Filipinos in this university, and like they're all very welcoming and stuff, but they also share this question like what is Filipino enough, and do you guys ever feel this way, and they kind of ask the hard questions, and it wasn't until then where like I was like, it didn't really matter to me, but like Vic, like I do go into stores, especially like now too, like I know I kind of look Filipino and I kind of don't. Like people say I'm like either half Japanese, half white, or
is that a derogatory term?
I think
Okay. Is that why you?
That's why I corrected myself. Yeah. Half Japanese, half white. I think it is. Mm-hmm. Regardless, I don't ever want to be caught saying that.
Yeah.
But
because I'm Filipino.
Yeah. But yeah, like people ask that. So I also, like you, want to make people feel comfortable and get to like that common ground with people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's why a lot of people of other ethnicities and non-POC I believe like why they don't want to ask that question if you're a certain ethnicity is because they want to find that common ground with you very innocently. Mm-hmm. And as like a POC within like the same group of Filipinos, like I still want to do that. I don't want to like be the nail that sticks out too much, because I already look fairly different, especially when you go to the Philippines. I'm like significantly taller than a lot of people back there.
Who the hell sponsored you?
Yeah, no, like they'd be like, "Who's that?" Like they'd ask.
Wow, NBA.
It's such a small town too. Oh my gosh, I wish it was like that now, but it's not. But yeah, like I don't really think about it that way anymore, nor do I really care to think about it that way. I think I grew out of trying to feel wanted by other people or feel like I need to belong to other people. Like I just happen to be Filipino. But like I also happen to be from the OC. I also happen to be, whatever, right?
I'm gonna make a joke. I can't make it.
Please make
the internet. No, I can't.
Just make it and then cut it out.
I don't want to cancel. No, I can't put it on the internet.
But yeah.
You're registered. No.
Where is this going?
No, I'm not gonna say it. It's funny because I never had to question the fact that I was Filipino, because at home, culturally, super Filipino, right? And it wasn't a question of identity; it was a question of pride, right? It was like, oh, you're Filipino, because and that I've never questioned that part. It's, did I want other people to know that, right? Because my whole life, being how I look and the way I speak, they're like, oh, are you Hawaiian? Are you Samoan?
Yeah.
Are you, Chinese? I got Korean, I got Egyptian, I got Eskimo, I got everything.
Egyptian?
I've gotten Egyptian
I've
before.
got Egyptian too.
Right? I've gotten half black, I've gotten everything but Filipino. Bro.
Yeah.
And then I go, no, I'm Filipino. They go, I was gonna say that! And I'm like, no, you weren't, because you would have.
Yeah.
But I know in high school, I didn't want to identify as Filipino. Because it's like, oh, if you speak Tagalog, if you're too Filipino, you're a fob, right?
Yeah.
And
nobody speaks English.
nobody speaks English.
English.
Nobody speaks Tagalog. But that was like, oh, you're like C rank automatically. Like, you could have been the smartest kid in class. You could have been the best on the team. Dude, if you're fob, you're like almost,
Dude,
down there.
That is so weird to me because, like, I guess it's because you grew up in Carson or wherever you grew up, right? Yeah. And, like, you had the majority of everyone.
Yeah, and everyone wanted to be so American.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, bro, you go home and you put the same ass cheese whiz and pandesoul in your mouth every morning. You know what I mean? Yeah. You get sexual kneeling at night. Is that what you're thinking about?
No. I just imagine the cheese whiz and pandesal in your mouth.
No.
That's a good t-shirt.
You put it separate.
That's a good t-shirt.
You spread the cheese.
No, I knew what you meant, but it was just like... That's the image I got.
Oh, it's late, guys. We've been drinking.
Put the same pandesal. You put it in your mouth. It's a cheese whiz.
That's a good one. No.
You put the same one as me.
Just hold it. Just hold it.
I didn't say bite.
We didn't have food when we grew up.
Oh, that's
like I'm still like blown away though, like the fact that, like, oh yeah, if people knew you were Filipino in high school, people would think you're a fob right away. When, like, my high school experience was the total opposite. Like, people think I was Filipino, they'd be like, oh, he's Filipino.
Here's the thing: everyone was Filipino, but if the moment you were like, oh shit, the moment you spoke with an accent, you're automatically in that category. So I didn't find all my pride.
Yeah, fried chicken.
Hold your
fried fish, fried chicken, fried rice. I didn't find that part of me until college, where I was surrounded by everything but Filipino, and I'm like, yo, my culture is more fun than what you're describing.
Yeah.
So why am I not proud to be who I am? Yeah,
it's interesting because I had the opposite experience where in my year there's only one other FilAm, and then there was in high school, yeah, and then there was another Filipino kid, but he was a year younger than me. So, like, we would, like, hang out. Like, one time the three of us, like, we would also just...
You only said there was two of you. Where's the third one?
No, me...
Him and his friend.
My friend who was my year, and then the kid who was a year younger.
See? Okay. Sorry, boss.
It's okay.
My mathematics is incorrect.
So, like, we like crack, like, Filipino accent jokes and just, like, be Filipino. And one time we went to the mall, and then... Because we would, like, call each other at school, just like, psh, and then, like, get each other's attention.
Yeah.
So then some other people would, like, pick up on it. And so we went to the mall, and then, we heard, like, shh, shh, and then we're like, they're just, like, calling us. Like, because we were going on an escalator. What the heck? So we're all looking around. And then we realized it was just, like, two white girls talking with, like, heavy lisps. So we're just, like, so we're just like,
no!
It's like, oh my god. So, like, that. that kind of
Who's
sound.
frying peas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the
Who's
Sprite?
opening soda?
Who wants the Sprite?
Do you have extra dollar?
Open or close, pick one.
They have so much Sprites.
Is that the RC Cola?
Always.
Wow. Interesting.
That's.
Dude, and this other time, when I was in after college, I went to a Target in Eagle Rock. So I was
Oh,
going
you went
walking,
to the Target in Eagle
yeah,
Rock.
the Target in Eagle Rock.
Okay.
So I was walking around.
It's only the one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like, what?
And then I heard like a, and I looked and turned. I got the feeling of like guilt.
Yeah.
But it was just some other mom calling her kid.
Yeah.
And the person I was with wasn't Filipino, so I just, as soon as I realized what happened, I busted up laughing. I was like, what happened? I was like, I have to tell you when we're out of here.
Yeah.
So I went to the car, explained the whole thing, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's
Those are
crazy.
funny, like. Those are just funny encounters with like misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Right? Because I remember I was with my kuya, my older cousin, and I was probably like 15 at the time. He was 20. And we're at Payless because like we're just.
Right.
That's when like it was cool to buy cheap shoes because you could buy your own cheap shoes.
Still is cool.
Right.
For real. But he was talking to. He was like misidentifying this whole thing, right? There's this guy and he was working. And he had the flamboyance of a gay guy, right? Like the trope that is, the flamboyant, the feminine, passing, whatever. my kid was like, he looked Chinese. So my kid was, "Huy, bakla yung Chinese to. Bakla yung in-check to." And then the guy goes, "Hoy, hindi akong in-check." I said, "Oh shit." I said, "Damn, yo."
That happens way too often, but every time I hear that. Hua.
Hoy.
You're the golden chick.
Damn.
But that, I mean, like,
Got him.
that, yeah, got him, coach.
But he didn't say hindi ako bakla.
No,
I just want to
because
make sure.
like he wanted to make sure that he knew we
Yeah.
he understood us,
Right.
right? And I'm just like, oh, I don't want people to feel that. I mean, that's kind of where I had like empathy, right? Like I was
Right.
laughing, but also like, hey, yeah, we shouldn't do this anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the feeling of misidentifying someone,
Right.
whether it be queer or culturally or identity wise or even attraction wise,
Right.
like sexual attraction, sexual affinity. What is it? Sexual healing. When I get that feeling, no one's gonna understand that reference. It's
Yeah, they watched the episodes. Two episodes ago. It's fine.
so this is why I'm thinking, what do you think makes someone feel like they're not Filipino enough? Is it our older generations gatekeeping the cultural keys?
Sometimes,
yeah. I think that unintentionally happens, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think I think their intention is good by not sharing, but at the same time, it's backfiring.
Yeah, because
There are some good intended
Yeah.
ones, but there are also some malicious,
Yeah, or even just
things.
ones that, like I've talked to multiple FilAms who, even when they ask questions to their parents about like, oh, what was it like in the Philippines or what was it like growing up, the parents would be like, why would you want to know? Like, we're here in America, like it doesn't matter like what happened. Basically, like this is also like oversimplification, but it was all like the similar sentiment of
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't, like what happened in the Philippines doesn't matter, but then it does because it's like
Because I want to know about it.
yeah, it's like our story, like
Yeah.
as like a family.
Right.
So that's like one aspect that I've heard multiple times.
Yeah. I
And
think
it's just like unintentional on the parent side, where they're just like they don't necessarily see a value in sharing some of that story.
dude, it's so crazy how much stuff is from our parents' generation. Like generational trauma, it's like the combining and the mixing of this crazy cocktail of wanting to belong in another country plus escaping war-torn country even.
Right.
And wanting what's better for your kids, but also not trusting your kids to know they should know what's good for them. Like,
Right.
there's so many things in that stupid jungle juice of, like, trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
now it's on us to be like, to overcome all those things at once.
Yeah.
Like, pound the shot and, like,
Right.
still live our lives, which is crazy.
Right.
Right? So I did research for once.
Nice.
So the things I wrote down, and then just jump in if you have want to talk about any of these. But some of the reasons people don't think they're Filipino enough is like upbringing, like we said, language barrier, regional upbringing, meaning if you're Filipino and you don't necessarily live in a primarily
Prime Ribally.
sexual
A dominant.
Optimus Prime.
yeah,
Optimus
primary.
a region that has
A lot of Filipinos, right? So
basically.
if you're a Filipino that grew up in friggin' Nebraska,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
as
like-
opposed to Daly City.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a buddy who grew up in. He's FilAm. He's the one. He was like the one Filipino family in upstate New York. So it's
Right.
like he's pretty not in touch with like the diaspora, or like he wasn't, but he is a little bit
He
more.
was
like,
the diaspora.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
like
him is 4 family
upstate.
members.
Right.
So there's that. There's also proximity, which is kind of the same, right? Like how close are you to a freaking Seaweed City?
Yo, we had to like drive all the way to Cerritos for that stuff from OC, and it's not bad, but I mean, I just you just think
Yeah, it's
about
down
that
the street
stuff.
from my house.
Yeah,
it's
so
a little different.
Yeah, it's different, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
And also like exposure to Filipino culture, right?
Right.
For example, you can be the only Filipino family in Nebraska and still feel connected because you have TFC at home,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I didn't even because
Yeah.
my family, like, immediate family, doesn't really watch or follow, keep up to date with anything
Yeah, like
Filipino
media
culture.
or like news. Yeah.
So then, when I started going to a Filipino church and then hanging out with like the other like families,
Mhm.
and then watching TFC,
What's up?
understanding what was like cultural. And actually, like when her coworker sent her kids to the same school, so then I would hang out with like they're also Filipinos, so I hang out with like two brothers, and then they were the ones who actually introduced me to like Rex Navarrete. So then hearing his jokes and understanding like, oh, it's like a bigger thing than just like our two families,
Dude,
and understanding how
When I found Rex, I was like, this is gold. I'm going to listen to this on repeat.
right.
Man.
Because when I found Rex, that was middle school,
Oh, cool.
right?
Yeah. For
And
me,
like-
yeah, that was like late elementary school.
Yeah.
What? I found out in high school.
We're the same age. No, I'm older than you by a year.
By year.
Yeah. Yeah, this was like my last year of middle school, I think.
Yeah.
But I remember like, yo, this dude, I'm getting all these references,
Right.
and also I can listen to this with my family.
Right.
Like, no matter how crude the language is, the precedence of it being Filipino overtook the, like, I'll listen to all these backpack jokes with
Right.
my mom and dad
Yeah.
in the car because it's Filipino,
Right.
right? And I think obviously now it's much easier with companies like Kumu and One Down. See the plug? I got you guys.
Hey,
And also the Pandesoul podcast.
the funniest podcast on all of Kumu.
When I get that bill. Baby.
Yes, Bundies, keep listening.
Why do you think? What's up, Kevin? Is this a sleepover? No, we're actually filming our last episode. If you have any questions, we are currently talking about the question: are you Filipino enough? There's a lot of FilAms that have to deal with this kind of topic and all this internal struggle, and you know the whole idea of not feeling like you're less of who you are when. Okay, let me get this straight. First of all, everyone is Filipino enough. You know what I mean? Like if you have it, like if you feel it, then you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially the token white guys at the party.
Yeah. My
token white boyfriend.
My cousin's boyfriend.
Token white husband.
Once you bless even the baby and the dog, you're Filipino now.
Dude, it's like they're like the one trick pony where they learn a Filipino phrase and then they go and tell the whole family.
Oh yeah.
Mahal kita. You're Filipino enough if you proud and always saying it out loud. Ganon. Yes, Kev. For sure. I think if you have it and you feel it, then you are Filipino enough. If you don't feel Filipino enough but want to be, then it's your job to find that within your own identity.
Right.
Right? It's no one's gonna give that to you. No one's like, and now you're Filipino. And with your spirit.
And also with you.
And also with you.
And with your sausawan.
In the spirit.
They dip their hand in vinegar.
Yeah.
And they put sausawan.
Yeah.
Oh, eat this silly.
Yeah. Oh, it's better.
Vinegar. Toyo. Ganun. Both flavors.
Yeah.
Hi Marie. Where's Marie? Hey Marie, what's up? Guys, thank you so much for being here. The pandesoul podcast. Are you Filipino enough? So, why do you think? Okay, the question and the social, the social.
The shows.
Social.
It's late.
Social
The social
worker.
redemption.
Social.
The only reason people think they're not Filipino enough is because other Filipinos have told them they're not Filipino enough.
Right.
Right? If a white guy told you weren't Filipino enough, it would not matter.
Right.
Right? Because they don't know. If a black guy told you you're not Filipino enough, who cares? Like, you don't know. Right?
Right.
The only reason why people think they're not Filipino enough is because other Filipinos have said so. Why do our people like to ostracize ourselves? Basically.
I have no idea.
It's that crab mentality.
It is, for sure. But where do you think it spawns from, right? Because
I think because historically, and also like in my observation, it's like Filipino culture has been a culture of survival because there's always been some sort of other group that's like oppressed the Filipinos.
There are tenets within our historical makeup, which is survival, flexibility, adaptability.
Right. So then it's like conforming to whatever the dominant culture is.
Right.
In order to like not even stick out or just to like be to survive. Where it's like if you're not within this or whatever the mainstream culture says, then it's like I don't know, I guess maybe at some point like Spaniards or whoever would like kill somebody who was not conforming to whatever the rules were and stuff. I think that's kind of like where it stems from, and it's just sort of existed within various things within like Filipino culture.
Yeah.
And like the value of not, because I also observe this within entertainment, like Filipino entertainment, where performers are valued, like specifically like singers, musicians are valued for playing other music. And OPM isn't as...
We put such a premium on imported goods.
Right.
Bro. And it sucks because our main export is people.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Why can't we put value in the people we send out?
Right.
Right? Yeah, there's such a premium on blonde and blue-eyed. Right?
Yeah, they're like Eurocentric features.
Yeah. And the like whitenings. Come in. Nobody, baby.
But you.
But yeah, what's up to Christy Chris from Philippines Spot YG Clothing in the building. Flora Mien Narciso. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the whole ostracizing ourselves? Because like and we're not supposed to get political on TV, but that's what we're doing right now. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. I just know that I don't like it. I don't like that idea of always like trying to one up people or trying to show off too many things. Like those titas that have like the bags that show off against the other bags. You know, like I don't get it. I'll never really understand it. And I mean, yeah, you're probably right. It does stem from that. But I just see it like as it is right now, and it's just pretty annoying. And like, I don't know how to. I just know that I'm like really annoyed by it, and I don't think that. I don't think that it's helping promote anything at all.
No, it's not.
We really just need to like share the love of like what we have, because
Shed the love and shed the life.
Sooner or later, I mean, it's gonna be gone. I don't know. It's gonna be gone if things don't get passed down. I don't know. It's
Yeah, could you imagine if there was, because our culture is so, I'm going to use the word integrated with other things.
okay.
Right? It's always that word. The primary mainstay of Filipino culture is parts of other people's culture.
Right.
Right? Where there's such a premium on English. There's such a premium on skin whitening products, and even now Korean culture in the Philippines, right? It's not even our own shit anymore. Right. So if this goes on and you keep adapting, like honestly, who do you know for real? If you were to bet money, go find someone that can write bayan. You can't even do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Cotton ba. That's basically.
You gotta look up clothing brands that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Who knows how to write that language?
Yeah. And I even watched.
Also, real quick, I know you're gonna. Even if you find something on the internet, and this is my personal experience, I don't even know if it's correct, bro.
Right. That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I even observed I watched this video.
Marie's learning.
Where they just interviewed Filipinos in the Philippines at a mall.
Yeah.
And they challenged them to say a full sentence in Tagalog.
Without Taglish.
Yeah, without any other English or Spanish or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was basic questions too, like what school did you go to, or it was a range from basic things from what high school did you go to some higher political level questions, and they were struggling to figure out what is even that word in Tagalog.
Yeah. Because they're so used to English filling in the holes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what a metaphor for your culture. You shouldn't rely on the Americans to fix your problems.
But isn't that ironic though? When people are really proud of being Filipino, and
and they got ostracized for that.
And then they get and then exactly, and then part of their culture is just integrated into other cultures. So it's what really is Filipino that you're proud of then? Are you gonna pick and choose the things about being Filipino that you're proud of? I don't know.
Dude, one thing about my culture I'm really proud of is that we killed Ferdinand Magellan.
Yeah,
every time that fact comes up, I always use that.
On the Battle of Mactan with the spear.
Oh, also Filipino.
Lapu-lapu. I was what's
Lapu-lapu. The fish. He's poisoned.
Oh,
no,
okay.
that's not it.
My great Lolo. Because he's from Visaya.
Oh, mine too.
Oh.
Yours too?
No, mine is from Luzon. I'm so an outsider right now.
No, why are you doing that to yourself?
Kidding.
You're Filipino enough.
No, this is the question.
Also, the fact that I love about our culture is we modernized Western boxing. Did you know that? Filipinos modernized Western boxing.
What do you mean by that?
Because in the 1800, early in the 20s, there are photos of boxers and they would fight like this.
Oh yeah, that's
right. But they came to the Philippines, and the Philippine boxers would have their hands like this, and they were ducking and jabbing and weaving, because all of their moves are from the movement of the knife. So you can't fight like this if there's a knife in play, right? So they're just this is a knife slash right here, right? So all the moves were
it's pretty cool.
Knife moves, and they would make fun, and they would hit the bicep of the guy, right? Because that's where the cut is.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're fighting and they would block and hit this bicep with this knuckle, and by the third round it would be dead. Mm-hmm. Right? And they're wow, these little Filipino guys, they can't fight, and they're just here bang, bang, bang. By the second round they couldn't punch anymore, and that's how they would win all their fights.
Nice.
That's so dope.
So keep your hands up, baby.
learning something today.
That is like my ultra favorite
Trivia
about our culture.
Nice.
Like everyone's like the yo-yo, and I'm like, no, boxing.
Boxing.
We win.
Yeah. Box out.
Box out, knock
Box
out,
in.
walk out. And we all. It always comes down to that. All right. Are you Filipino enough? Let's end this episode. Your favorite part of our culture, based on your own experience, because yes, everyone's Filipino enough, so that's already a given. But what is your favorite part of our culture? Not food related though.
Damn it!
It's always gonna be food.
Yeah.
That's the go-to.
That's literally what I was gonna talk about.
Yeah.
I think the one I'll say is, even though it doesn't necessarily apply to me, but it's like when people are like, "Oh, you're Filipino. You must be good at singing." Like it's like a
Or automatically.
I feel like that's like a positive stereotype.
Yeah.
And it's cool to like be roped in. It's like I can sing and like hold a pitch, but it's like I like that it still applies to me, but I'm like, it's like I think it's like a cool, positive stereotype.
Cool.
I think for me, like, I do like the. I don't know, because like a lot of our family friends are like, first time, like their first gen here, or was it second gen? They
First
immigrated here, right?
First gen, yeah.
Yeah, so like the fact.
Kanto
Kanto
region.
Kanto region. So like I do like the idea of our culture still trying to find each other and like build a community within each other because of I don't know, just like that that like
Asgard isn't a home, it's a people.
It's a people.
Good on.
That's exactly it.
We're from Asgard.
Yeah, my Asgard.
Asgard and mouthwash.
Yeah.
Word. Mine I think is just like the ability, and also it's a detriment for sure, but the ability to find the light in everything, right? Because our culture's been invaded, our countries have been invaded by so many people and so many things, but there's always been a reason to smile. There's always been a reason to laugh. If you get a few people together like this, you're gonna have a good time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's one. I mean, other than the food and all that other stuff, but I think just the ability to laugh. And dude, what I like is Filipinos are not afraid to laugh. You know what I mean? How like a lot of cultures, and I researched this, they try and suppress their laugh, so the sound isn't like.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, that's true.
But have you ever heard a Filipino auntie?
Yeah, you gotta stay away from arm's distance.
Yeah.
Cause
My
it's like,
God.
They're gonna hit you, right?
Yeah.
So I
my mom did that one time. I was sitting across the room. She was laughing. She got up. She hit me, and then she sat back down.
you walked all the way over there.
She like a distance from where we're at. She like got up and like hit me, and then like sat back down. I'm like,
That's hilarious.
why? I thought it was
Proving a point.
You
was
crossed 3 other people.
I was like, I thought it was safe.
She did the same thing to
Yeah.
everyone else.
Could you imagine? Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
I'm passing that down to my kids
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah. I do that when I do a bad joke.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
go sexual ginilling.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah.
ah. Just keep-
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, sige na, Pandis.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of pandesoul.
And check out previous episodes on Spotify and YouTube. We also go live here on Kumu every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. PDT and Fridays at 11:30 a.m. Philippines time.
Thanks for laughing and join us next week because there's enough pandesoul to go around.
And don't forget your baon!